And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I'm a little biased in this review, Munchkin Booty, because of my opinions on Munchkin in general. And I think, and I hope, that this review will suffice for any review of any Munchkin product. I played the original Munchkin when it came out, and now I've played Munchkin Booty. I might have played Space Munchkin or Super Munchkin. There's a whole lot. There's Spy, Vampire, and such. But I think that it's safe to say that you can take my review for this and apply it to all Munchkins because they all have generally the same basic system, and you can mix and match them together. That same basic system that I hate. Now, I know some people out there like it. They like it because it's funny. Yeah, I don't think it's really funny. I mean, actually, some of the stuff in the game is pretty funny the first time you go through. Some of the card combinations, some of the play on words, some of the takeoffs of the genre. But man, it gets old really fast. And the gameplay, in my opinion, is terrible. One of the problems that I have with the game is right here. What will we find inside this box, which retails for often $25, maybe even $30? What's inside? Ooh, 2 decks of cards and a die. Alright, I guess I can't be too critical here because there's some games which are basically just a couple decks of cards, like Race for the Galaxy, that I do like. So maybe there's a great game in here. Basically, this game comes with 2 decks of cards. One of them is a treasure deck, the other is the door deck. Alright, here's what you get when you start with Munchkin. This is your character. Nothing. Basically, in Munchkin, you are taking the path. It's a playoff of a role-playing game. So you start at level 0, and in fact, you're supposed to keep track of that somehow. They're pretty much too cheap to include that in the box. So you're supposed to keep track with it with counters or the special die from 1 to 10, but what have you. As the game progresses, you will get different class cards. For example, here's a pirate, or you could be a navy. And in this game, you can get different accent cards. I suppose these are akin to maybe different races. Different accent cards. For example, you can be Dutch or French, and they give you special abilities and special bonuses. How do you get these cards? You get them by simply drawing them. So if you do not draw a good class or a good accent during the course of a game, you don't get one. Suck it up and go on. At the beginning of a player's turn, they simply turn the top card of the door deck over and see what it is. Oh look, this one's a curse. You lose a level. Hilarious! Now we turn over another card on the next player's turn, and look, they get a long ship. They get a ship bonus. Well, that's wonderful. But for the most part, when you turn these cards over, you're going to fight an enemy. Here's a level 4 dogfish. Here's a level 2 Viking kittens. Here's a very powerful level 14 Sir Francis Drake. Alright, and when you get one of these enemies, what you must do is fight them. You add your current level at the time, whatever it might be, plus any items you have, and if that's still not enough to beat off the enemy, then perhaps you can ask other players to help you. What do they get out of it? Well, that's up to you. You can make any kind of offer you want. They don't get any kind of level bonuses or such, but there's some kind of back and forth between players. This is interesting. However, during the course of the game, as you get higher and higher in level, you need less and less help from other people. So what players can do is if you don't draw a monster on your turn, they can play one on you. They can play some cards that will enhance the monsters that are attacked on you. And in this game, there are many different shark monsters. And whenever one shark monster is attacking you, players can play other shark monsters to add to that. And players can help each other out by playing good cards on other players or bad cards on other players, good cards on themselves. If you beat the monster, you go up a level, possibly 2 levels, and then you get to draw from the treasure deck and a certain amount of treasures, and you get whatever these treasures are. Look, this one here says you get to go up another level. What a wonderful card to draw. This is an item, a captain's coat, gives you a +2 bonus. And most of these items that you get are also worth a certain amount of gold pieces at the bottom. And if you have enough gold pieces, you can sell all these items and buy another level. Now, if you lose to the monster, you may lose a level. There's bad stuff on the card that happens to you. For example, if you lose to this jellyfish here, the bad stuff, you lose 2 levels if you lose to him. He's a level 2 jellyfish, so you probably won't lose to him unless someone else buffs him up and makes it very difficult to win. So that's basically the gist of the game. You're going to get different monsters that you're fighting against. Use your experience, use the different cards you get to fight them, negotiate with other players to fight these monsters. You lose to them, bad things happen. You beat them, good things happen. You go up in levels. The first person to get to level 10 is the winner. Now here's what happens. One player goes up in levels, all the other players gang up on him and attack him, doing their best to bring him down. Another player goes up in levels, same thing happens. Eventually someone wins. A game can take 20, 30 minutes. A game can take 2 hours. And to me, it's just mind-numbingly boring. Because on your turn, you're turning over a card, and if it's good, yay. If it's bad, oh no. What are your choices? I mean, if you get a whole bunch of good equipment, you can do really well against monsters. And if you don't, then you suck it up. So, the saving grace of the game is the humors. Look, a perfectly good blue shark. Ha ha ha. Oh, the British. She has a cup of tea in her hand as she fights. Here's Blackbeard. Isn't he funny looking? And yeah, some of it makes me smile the first time I go through, the first time. But I'm not paying $25 for 2 decks of cards that are simply going to make me smile, maybe giggle one time through. I want something more than that. And as I said, this can apply to pretty much any Munchkin game. I just don't get them. They're funny-ish, but the gameplay is terrible. It's all in the luck of the draw. There's not a lot you can do. The idea of negotiating with other players is interesting, but you basically just all work together against whoever's the strongest at that point in time. Unless one of you helps out the strong player so that the game finishes, so that you can all play something much better. This, not good.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.